unique species, but those lucky enough to spot one should never mistake it for a house cat. It only thrives in the wild. Learn more at islaearth.org. Isla Earth is produced by the Catalina Island Conservancy through its Fund for a Sustainable Planet, because Earth is an island.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email CEO@kcaaradio.com. KCAA Loma Linda, your CNBC news station for the Inland Empire.
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Take a walk on the wild side, where the birds and the bees survive. Right before me, my newfound hippie side. Once ignored these conspiracies online. Out the window, visions of the earth. Sign me up now, make sure you use your smart. Take a walk on the wild side. Will the birds and the bees survive? Would your children like to see Mother Nature's side?
Welcome to Smart Health Talk with your host, Elaine McFadden.
Welcome, everyone. This is Smart Health Talk radio show, and I'm your host, Elaine McFadden. And please forgive my bad English right there. Yes, I'm Elaine McFadden, your host. Let me start again. And I just want to welcome you to Smart Health Talk, and you, our regular listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in again. We hope that you enjoyed our interview last week with Dr. Chuck Benbrook. And it is amazing me. It is just simply amazing me how many people I talk to on the street, and I try to bring up the court case that Dr. Chuck Benbrook was here talking about. Okay, let's test our listeners out there, all right? How many of you have heard of the $289 million court case against Monsanto? That was actually the judgment against Monsanto for the plaintiff, Dwayne Johnson. And this man is a very humble man, a very nice man, a family man. He was a janitor at an elementary school. It could be any elementary school, because what he was doing is something that is being done at virtually every elementary school, junior high, high school, athletic field. All of these areas around the school that your child goes to is probably being sprayed with Roundup. Now, I would like to know if after the California court case, we've got people all over the world reevaluating Roundup and everything that they thought about it. And there was like a couple of things, but one thing like really stood out to me that Dr. Benbrook said about the trial, and that was that there was actually evidence, because they had gotten all of the emails, that was part of the discovery for the trial. these were company emails with conversations that they were having about Roundup. And Dr. Benbrook said that some of those emails were so damaging to Monsanto because of the content in there where they were conspiring to lie and deceive the public about the safety of their product, Roundup, glyphosate, whatever you want to call it. And just to clarify a little bit, when we're talking about a bottle of Roundup and you hear the word glyphosate, glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup. And that percentage of the product can range anywhere from a couple of percent to maybe 5%, depending on the strength of the product and how much glyphosate that they put in there. They have different formulas. It's under all kinds of different names, not just Roundup. There's lots of products out there with glyphosate in it, and that's why they kind of focused on glyphosate as well, is because that is an active ingredient in lots of different products that aren't called Roundup. They are under different names because these manufacturers, they just, concoct different formulas, slap a label on it, come up with a name, and go and market it. And that's pretty much what they do. Well, but a lot of the research was on glyphosate, and glyphosate is really important, but it's always good to remember that that's not the only ingredient in a bottle of Roundup. I mean, we got like lots of different ingredients, and they're each tested in isolation. In other words, they're tested by themselves. They're never tested when we mix them up in the product. And that's what happened at the World Health Organization. They actually tested the whole product as it is sold on the shelf, and they found that it caused cancer. We actually have studies going back decades that show that it caused cancer, but somehow it was still able to be approved. And people don't realize it's actually registered for lots of different uses. Glyphosate was used to clean pipes, kind of like Drano. Get all the metal that was accumulated in there out, because it chelates minerals, which means that it binds with it. And that enabled it to clean pipes because it binds with minerals. Now, think about that property in the soil. Those minerals are the key to your health. And if you don't get enough, you could have a deficiency. And deficiencies can cause birth defects. They can cause a long list of diseases. And the government knew this. They knew it because they started secretly adding folate to bread. Folic acid, the synthetic version. They knew that Roundup was binding folate in soil. And when you have folate deficiencies, we're talking spina bifida, some major birth defects that happen as a result of folate deficiency. But they didn't want to tell people, but it just so happened that when they started doing that was around the end of the 1900s, and that's when GMOs were approved. And glyphosate and GMOs are hand in hand. They are like right there. But now we have new GMOs that they use other products. Other products like dicamba and 2,4-D. Oh yeah, the two other pesticides that I mentioned that are used at school districts all over the country, including our local Redlands School District and the Loma Linda Academy over at the medical center. They're spraying all three of those products where we have tiny children playing. When you take your child to the park, you may have seen a sign that had sprayed pesticide the day before, and they have like 24 hours. They say no one on there. But what if you show up the day after that, and you have your child rolling around on the grass, and it's been 24 hours, but are you really sure that Roundup has somehow magically disappeared and none of that is getting on the skin of your child? Well, if you saw Dwayne Johnson's skin, the plaintiff in the Monsanto case, you would see why that is so upsetting to me. His skin is nothing but scars, and he had giant growths, coming off of his hands. An accident happened, the hose broke, it got on him. But how is that so different than your child playing in a field at the park, or your dog running around in that field, and rolling around, and you know how kids do, and you didn't realize that it had only been like, let's say, 30 hours since they sprayed Roundup. I would never, ever want my child on that grass. We need people going to city council meetings, going to school board meetings. A guest that I was hoping they were going to be with us today, but these women work 12-hour shifts at the hospital, so even though they're back in Indiana, it's they don't get home till really late at night. So we're going to work on doing a pre-tape, because these two women both lost children to cancer from toxic chemicals, and they actually live in an area that has like the highest childhood cancer rate in the country. They are role models to all of us, in my mind, because they are out there fighting not just for their family, but for all the families that live there. And expect to see, I predict this, I'm very good at predicting these things, expect to see a flood of reports of contaminated water from all over the country. A new one came in from Michigan. Teflon, that stuff that, that non-stick pans are made out of. It could also be on your couch. They got a law passed by pretty much making up some fake story that cigarettes were causing all these fires on couches, when actually that was not the case. And so they got approval to start spraying all these highly toxic chemical fire retardants on our couches, where a baby could be laying, with a diaper on only, that going into their skin. They also use these Teflon materials for all kinds of products. All that stuff that they've been dumping on all the fires, that red chemical they dump from the airplane, it actually has a lot of that chemical in it. Fast food cartons. Yeah, we wouldn't want greasy oil getting on people's fingers. So they've taken it, upon themselves to add a little bit of this toxic chemical to the packaging, to make sure that you don't get those greasy fingers. Isn't that considerate of them? Considering this stuff is like major birth defects, death, okay? TCE. This is the chemical, it's alkylfluorocarbons. I can't ever say the word. But this stuff is, I haven't even signed in my computer here. Let me get signed in. See if I did it right. Oh, I actually did it right. Wow. Sorry, I wanted to get to my stuff here. So these Teflon chemicals are there. They're on clothing to prevent stains and make the water just bead off of it. There is lots of different things. Popcorn, microwave popcorn bags. Please do not buy any non-organic microwave popcorn. That chemical is all inside the bag, and it soaks into the popcorn when you make it. So organic popcorn, There's some great brands out there, and the popcorn is absolutely delicious. They have all kinds of flavors, and guess what? No Teflon. Yeah, that's the added bonus when you get organic, everyone. Guess what? Organic sales are skyrocketing. That's right. And conventional sales, flat. People are starting to figure out, I don't want poison on my food. When I buy organic, I get 97% less pesticides. Hey, apparently that's pretty popular with some people. So the bottom line is mainstream media is not covering the trial. You're not hearing about it. And I'll tell you exactly why you're not hearing about it. Yeah, because they don't want you to know about it. Because guess what happens when you know about the Monsanto trial? You're like, oh, hey, is that on that food that I've been feeding my family? Wait, what have I been feeding my family that has this glyphosate on for the past few years? All of a sudden, people wake up when they hear this and they started thinking, hey, what does that have to do with me and my family? And they start realizing, oh, I've been eating this stuff? And I talked about the chelating effect of glyphosate, the poisoning effect, but it's also an antimicrobial, an antibiotic. So it kills your gut bacteria. You want to know why we have an obesity epidemic in this country? We're talking about it right now. You know, feed people poison every day, destroy their gut bacteria, overload their entire system, give them too much that their body can't even process it all. It's going to stick it away in fat cells. Yeah, you can't deal with it. It's like, we're going to put this away in a fat cell and then it won't hurt us. Well, you got lots of fat cells, and all of them probably have lots of toxin. And that's why, as a dietitian, I don't recommend fast weight loss. I have lost probably 45 pounds. I am so excited because today I was trying on clothes about what the heck I was going to wear today. And I was putting on things that I have not been able to wear for, I would say, over 10 years, 10, 12 years. And I have done nothing but work in my yard. I did like a little bit of Pilates and lifted weights here and there. I'm really feeling good about ready to get serious, but my plan was to heal my body because my thyroid was totally whacked out. And I want to tell you this because we are being bombarded by pesticides, not just in our food, in our homes. I have a neighbor. She wants to spray once a week, and I am terrified. It's filled my whole living room. I almost passed out. She is out there just like crazy, saturating things with her pesticide, not even thinking about what's happening to me. And actually, she's hardly breathing it because as soon as she sprays it, it's drifting away. And where is it drifting away to? My house. Our houses are not airtight. Okay? That gas from the particles from the drift from that pesticide were inside my living room. And the smell is like something you could smell all the way down the street, and it lasts for days. So it was very obvious it was in my living room. I was breathing it. But it's not just that. Having people come in hazmat suits spraying next door. And the Vicane. Vicane, you probably don't even realize. This stuff, when they tent houses, this is like a chemical weapon. We are getting rid of the other organophosphate, chloropyrifos, that Trump was allowing, didn't care about our children's brains being destroyed for the rest of their life. But our Governor Brown, thank you very much. He stepped up to the plate. He said, we're overriding this approval by Trump. We're going to ban this. They spray it on almonds, so you've been drinking it in your almond milk, unfortunately, and many other products. Cranberries, kale, so those kale milkshakes you've been drinking every day that weren't organic were full of a brain-destroying chemical. So as a dietitian, for people being punished for trying to be healthy, that's when I start standing up and fighting and getting mad. And I tell you, I'm getting ornery in my old age. I really came after someone today, and I was not very nice at all. And that was because I am just so sick and tired of these people that are greedy and are destroying our planet. What are we leaving for our children is what I want to ask. We are stealing from our children. We're not leaving them anything. We're just like grabbing it up. Well, give me those resources so I can make money now. Doesn't matter what we destroy in the process. And this is what's happening. What we've got an administration right now that is selling off our parks and our monuments to the highest bidder. And I'm just wondering, like, why? You know, they caught Zinke, like, you know, trying to sell, this mining company to come and start mining on our parkland and destroying it forever. And what do we get out of it? What does the American people get back? We lost a park. Is this bringing income? Because as far as I know, there's still a law on the books from 1887 that said they don't have to pay royalties on what they mine. Yeah, we're like the only country in the world that's not charging royalties. We charge royalties for everything else, but not mining. How much billions of dollars is that costing this country? There have been legislators that have tried to do in Colorado and I think Utah, don't quote me on that, but I know for sure Colorado, that have been trying to get this law changed. And what do these people do? They take, destroy, and then disappear and leave the mess for the taxpayers to clean up. And that is what we're seeing over and over and over again. The taxpayers are being left with the bill every single time. I don't know about you, but I want to see money going for infrastructure. We have things that are breaking and built in like 1900 that you just know it's going to go bad, okay? We are doing nothing. And this would create jobs and stimulate our economy. This is what was promised. Nothing has been done. No. Plenty of effort to make the rich richer. And I would like to hear how many people are just really benefiting. Let me throw a couple of statistics for you, okay? Used to be 50 people controlled the global wealth. 50 people controlled 50% of the global wealth. That number has now changed. As a matter of fact, the Walter Schneidel, and he is one of the smartest people in the world. He has written The Great Leveler is the name of the book. He had to change his book because that was what he had. And this has just been a few years that have went by. Now we have like 40 people that control 50% of the wealth. And this is going to be accelerating because we have nothing to slow it down like we used to. There would be famines and war, but we don't have these things that used to stop this and reset everything. So this is just going to start snowballing and escalating as we go. And less people are going to control more and more of the wealth. Take a guess on how many you think control 50% of the wealth in the United States. We know that it's 40 for the world. 20 of those people are right here in the United States. Well, there's 20 people. I'm not sure if they're part of the global, but I know that there's 20 people that control 50% of the wealth in the United States. We got 20 people. What if 20 people controlled all the cars? How would that be? We got them controlling all the money. It could be anything. They could control anything. So this is not good. This is not good, people. And they are totally calling the shots unless we, you know what they're afraid of most? Us. That's right. They're afraid of us. They're afraid of us standing up and rebelling against them. That's why they throw us a little welfare, you know, that kind of thing, just because they don't want us to rebel. But I would encourage everyone out there, if you don't have, if you have never used any kind of student aid money, there is money to go to junior college that you can go for free. Practically, you may have to buy your books, but that's it. And there's even grants for that if you qualify. But you could be making $50 an hour in with a year of training. There are so many different programs that we need people for. There are jobs you could create your own business with, even once you had the skills, and be your own boss. And that's where it's at. Things are shifting. I talked about the organic industry growing by leaps and bounds, but it's changing. Where are we getting this organic food from? Because we're not growing enough here. Do we want to be shipping our organic food in from other countries, or do we want to be in control of it? Well, I guess the shift that they're starting to see in San Francisco is kind of going back to that fork to farm or farm to fork, and support local farming. It's bad in that we have so many farmers that just can't even make enough money. A lot of them are turning to crops they can sell internationally, like almonds are one of them. They've got to change how their strategy for what crops they're going to grow. And Dr. Benbrook last week, when I asked him about the farmers that have been growing GMOs, he said those people are going to be in big trouble. So we need to start preparing now for what's going to be happening 5-10 years, because they have destroyed that soil to such a large degree that it's going to just stop even producing. The yields are going to go way down. So it's not going to be worth it to even use that land. So what have we done? You know, instead of using regenerative organic techniques, which actually can increase a profit for a farmer by 76%, and no poison to be exposed to anyone in that situation, and your land just keeps getting better every year. The yield capacity, the water absorption capacity, the nutrient capacity of the food. I've heard farmers talk about being organic for like a couple of decades, and the food that comes out of their fields is just so nutrition packed that people just can't even believe it. That is my dream. That is my dream for everyone that lives in this country, that they have access to food that has that kind of nutrition, that has no pesticides, that's grown by a local farmer that wasn't shipped halfway around the world or across the country, which adds to the carbon footprint, of course. But why aren't we supporting more local farmers? If you go to Eat Local Grown or Local Harvest, you can do a search and find local farmers. My milk comes to my house delivered. I go to the farmer's market. We support our local health food store that's family owned. More than big, we don't go shop at these big corporate stores. Okay, we go to Trader Joe's. Go to there because they do have some good deals there. And we don't belong to Costco, so if you want to get like a sugar for a good deal, that's definitely the place to go. Cereal's a good deal. Although at my local health food store, they did have Cascadian Farm, which I really don't support because it's owned by General Mills. And they've obviously been lying to people. They've got lawsuits coming at them now because their cereals are testing out high with glyphosate. And, you know, people are buying organic because they want to avoid this. They've already figured it out, but lots of people haven't. People were ecstatic that Cheerios had no GMOs, but I'm like, everyone, it still has glyphosate, so what are you happy about, and why are you even eating it? And guess what? All those other Cheerios still have GMOs and glyphosate and all kinds of other chemicals. So why are you giving kudos to General Mills? Well, now it's time to pay the piper. I worked for Nature's Path for 5 years doing the whole country in food service, so I know what organic cereal is all about. I know the cereal industry, and I know that General Mills and Kellogg's blocked us every step of the way to getting organic in schools for your kids so they could have had a pesticide-free choice. No, because they want cheap. They see organic as a low profit margin product because, yeah, the raw materials cost more. But, organic, low profit margin versus high profit margin. That's the way they're looking at it. And they would buy organic companies like they try to buy Nature's Path a bunch of times, not to make it profitable, but to make it go away, because that's who they are. And if you keep giving your dollars to those people, they are going to keep lying to you and screwing you. So why are we giving them our money? But first of all, you got to believe the truth that I am telling you, and not with these manufacturers. It came out in court. They have been lying, blatantly lying, conspiring. And it came out that atrazine, number 2 most used, even though it causes all these deformities in genitalia of our boys, breast cancer in young girls, and is contaminated every waterway in our country, along with the Teflon chemicals and Roundup, and increases our yield by 4%, which is nothing. So we use all this pesticide to increase yield by 4%, and then we end up with this big poisonous mess where it's in every single water system. It's in our soil. It's in our air. It's caused people to already be damaged. Dr. Hayes warns that atrazine is going to cause mass infertility. How many people out there listening to this broadcast know someone that has battled infertility? You never heard of that. There was not IVF clinics on every corner like there is today. It's going to get worse. Water quality is going to get worse. And guess what? If we clean this stuff up, we'll be reversing global warming all at the same time. Because organic farming doesn't kill microcosy fungi that pull carbon from the air. But glyphosate and all these other pesticides do. And we've killed over 90% of it worldwide. We have to regenerate our soils. Our soils are what keeps our atmosphere clean. We're doing this backwards and not very smart at all. Poisoning our family. And what Dr. Benbrook talked about at the trial was the amount of glyphosate, of Roundup that we're using. It has increased 3 times in a very short span. 3 times the amount, and it's already the number 1 most used pesticide in the world. And we're going to triple it again? What are we going to do? We're on this road. Where is it going to end, everyone? We have the power. We have the power. It doesn't matter that there are 20 people in charge of 50% of the wealth, because you know what? They're nothing without us. It is our money that is feeding their bank account. And we decide where our dollars are going. And the Koch brothers that control our elections, one of them, and all these people, they have their hand in the elections. And I'm really anxious to see what's happening down in that Florida governor's race. You guys got any reports on that? Can you check? We got someone here checking on that Florida governor's race. This is really important because if you've listened to our show on a regular basis, we have talked about Florida, the algae blooms, the death, massive death that's happening as a result of them. And it comes down to big sugar. Should I say big sugar? Yeah, that's right. And they control every politician in that state. They probably control the governor too. I don't know. But I'm hoping that he will not be bending over as much as Marco Rubio's been bending over, because he has blocked legislation efforts by environmentalists 12 years ago. They knew this whole algae problem they knew this was going to happen. What's going on right now, they knew that 12 years ago. They try to put things in place, rules that these farmers would have to abide by, dumping Roundup, and they grow GMO sugar beets, which use Roundup. It's all being dumped into the waterways there like Florida's a friggin' toilet. And, he took their money, and he successfully blocked the environmentalist legislation. So now what happens? Oh, because we didn't set those restrictions in place, we now have this huge giant mess. And again, who is expected to clean up the mess? Oh, the taxpayers. Again, we have to clean up the mess. And this is just what's happening. We need to have something in place where if these politicians are going to be on the take, and as a result of them coming into office and immediately reversing work that would have, changed people's lives, saved lives, happened in Maryland. Governor Hogan, within 1 hour of being in office, destroyed years of work to improve the environment and the air, of which 85% of the people in Maryland breathe bad air. 2 million people die from air pollution. We don't even talk about this. We're spending $20 billion on Zika, which we have not seen any proof is causing microcephaly. It's not killing people. Most people feel nothing, and it's like some little mild flu-like symptoms. And, maybe a handful of people die from Zika. I don't even think anyone has even died from Zika ever. And they say microcephaly is the problem when 2 in 12 births happen outside of Zika with microcephaly. And those come from the mother getting sick, getting an infection or something like that, the mother being exposed to a toxic chemical like a pesticide, which is where you see microcephaly in Brazil. These workers are exposed to massive amount. They have like 50 pesticides that they use in Brazil that are outlawed in Europe and the United States. So don't you kind of wonder what's on your coffee that you're drinking from, South America? Because I guarantee they're doing it in Colombia too, if you're drinking Colombian. They are spraying pesticides that we have outlawed. And these pesticide manufacturers still make them and sell it to them because they'll buy them and use them. So when these people are being exposed to 50 pesticides that we've outlawed, and yet we still have pesticides that need to be outlawed. And they're using those too. They took $20 billion for Zika. Taxpayer dollars. And we get no promises we're getting $1 back from that. They're going to sell vaccines for whatever price they want to us, to the government. And we'll probably get no discount. Where was the negotiations in that deal? We got to start insisting that our politicians are not just giving our money away and we are getting nothing in return. This will keep happening as long as we allow it to keep happening. Now I'm kind of getting onto a green energy subject here. I guess the Tesla prototype for their semi actually drove all the way across the country without a driver by itself. So I did tweet Elon Musk today, asked him if there was they were collecting data on the safety of the trip, and how, if there was a safety score on how well the truck did. I worry, of course, I always worry first about loss of jobs, but we are short on drivers, semi-truck drivers. So will this make our highways safer? I would think yes. We've got truck drivers that are driving on a couple hours sleep and trying to get their load on time. So, they're not necessarily driving safely. And I don't know what else they're taking to stay awake either. There's a lot of drugs out there that can help you stay awake, but just even caffeine. But although caffeine and nicotine actually do make you more alert, unfortunately, nicotine actually does that. And it's the neonicotinoids that they like to put synthetic nicotine in are destroying 100% bees and butterflies, even at half of what the government allows. And we don't even know how little it really takes. And all Lowe's and Home Depot and those places are all still selling plants sprayed with it that people bring home and are actually poisoning bees and butterflies when they think that they're doing them a favor. And I tell you, in the next week, one of the things that I'm going to get on, which I'm going to share with the other thing that I got on, was walking in Home Depot and Lowe's and seeing pallets of Roundup as soon as you walk in the friggin' door. Shame on you. Shame on you, Home Depot and Lowe's and True Value or whoever else is doing that. You need to wake up. We just had a court case that was tried here in this, and we've got Roundup glyphosate on our Prop 65 list as cancer causing, and you're pushing it on people, pushing it on families. Do you want to kill us or what? That's the way it makes me feel when I walk into a Lowe's and Home Depot and I see a pallet of Roundup. When we know these people were lying. We know they were conspiracy. There is no doubt. If you had a doubt in your mind, get rid of it. This stuff causes cancer. It is bad news, and these people are pushing it on there. So as I mentioned earlier, why are they keeping all of this information from people about the trial? They don't want you asking what's in the food. Well, guess what? Our government did a study. Yeah, they tested food a couple of years ago. All kinds of different foods. But they wouldn't tell anybody what they found out. Yeah. Probably because it was so bad. When they tell us the truth, we're not going to want to buy anything. That's what they're afraid of. That's why they're not telling us. Well, I called up Chuck Schumer's office in Washington, D.C. before the show today because I read that he's supposed to be out there trying to get this. Everyone's saying, we want to see it. We want to see the data. Give it to us. And they're closed-lipped. Well, Schumer's stepped up and said, I'm going to work on trying to get this information. So I called. I wanted to know, hey, you guys doing anything? They're supposed to be getting back to me on that, so I'll get back to you guys when I find out. But I said, hint, hint, if you can do that, that would be a really good thing because people deserve to know what is going on, what poison is in the food that they're feeding their child. And all of us need to start calling up the USDA, calling up the FDA, and moms across America, they got 5,000 calls in a weekend. That was business days, okay? They bombarded them with calls and got a meeting. I don't know if it changed anything, but they did it. They got their attention. When we start calling them, they will start to find out. They were like, don't call, quit calling us. They're like, we're not going to quit calling. We're going to keep calling and calling and calling. And I can't wait for you to meet our guests that they're if it was your child, you can look them up on Facebook. That's who our guests are going to be. If it was your child, and Katie, I got to remember the other lady's name. I talked to Katie so far, but we're going to be finding out about what their fight is like over in Indiana against these, the fact that where they live is contaminated. We have no answers for this. We have no places to take this stuff. We're creating things that we have no way to destroy it. Those Teflon chemicals that I talked about, Their nickname, Forever Chemicals. They're going to be around for thousands of years in our environment. Yeah, and they're toxic. Do you know that every single person, every newborn baby that was born today has PCBs in their body? Highly toxic chemical made by Monsanto that they went on and on and on. Oh, it's safe. It's safe. Okay, other things in the news. What do we got? Oh, yeah, there was actually another big court win today. Organic won in court. And what happened was, another thing the Trump administration did, and we work very hard to create policies to get rid of these organic factory farms. They say, oh yeah, we let the animals go outside. They put some little hole that's not even accessible and little yard. Oh yeah, there's their spot. They can't even get out. They're so crowded in there. They couldn't even get to the hole if they wanted to. You know, they're just, again, lying and deceiving the public about, oh yeah, we're using organic techniques. Well, we had to clarify that. And guess what? Big corporate ag that's trying to get into organic because they want a piece of the action. They're losing money. They want to use their same old factory farm techniques with organic because that's what they know. And they know that makes more money. So they lobbied big time. Oh yeah, they're going to block that, man. We don't want humane treatment of animals. Oh my gosh. You know, that's what people want. That's why they're buying organic. We don't want same old factory farm stuff. Well, Trump sided with Big Ag. Sorry, getting a little dehydrated. He sided with Big Ag, reversed the regulations that were going to be put in place. The Organic Trade Association is fighting it. But I don't trust them as far as I can throw them because they got big corporate, all a member of their organization. But our true core NGOs that have been out there fighting for us, Center for Food Safety, Center for Biological Diversity, these people took it to court in California, and we won part of it, at least. So that's one good... Sorry, everyone, I got a dry throat here. So that's big win for everybody, okay? I want to thank the governor of Oregon and let's see, I can't remember the name of the senator, but the governor of Oregon and one of the senators visited Organic Valley Creamery. That shows great interest. I was pretty excited about that. And I've got some other things here. If we only got a couple minutes left, I'm going to kind of go over. I think my hair is growing back, everybody, from the thyroid problem. So many people are suffering with this. Check out Whole Earth and Sea. They have a really great vegan D3 that is all from, like food sources. Curcumin rich natural factors. They also have a double strength. It's theracumin. It's like the active ingredient in curcumin. Really good for cancer prevention. And after being exposed to the Vicane, it went into my lungs, and it was a horrible situation. Someone very close to me almost died that was exposed to the Vicane because their throat closed up when they went in for a colonoscopy, and they were partly under. They were on top of him, sticking a thing down his throat because Vicane attacks your lungs and your throat. Whole Earth and Sea, they also have a great, like for over 50, a vitamin for men and women. And I highly recommend Parmesan cheese. Super high in thyroxine, which is it's amino acid your body needs for your thyroid. I hope I got that right. I'm gonna have to go back and check. Okay, we're out of time, everyone. So thanks for listening. I hope it wasn't just me blabbing to you today, and that you actually walk away motivated and learning something. Check out smarthealthtalk.com. Find our podcasts on iHeartRadio, YouTube. Come and join us on Twitter. Friend us on Facebook. We'll join you. Contact us, Elaine at smarthealthtalk.com. And please join the fight, everyone. Use your dollars wisely. Get active. Get out there and speak up and support your local farmers. Love yourself. Get exercise. Good food. That's what the key is to life. I'm Elaine McFadden, and please buy organic.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.